Hey there, my name's Tom, and today I'm lucky enough to have the company of Jeff from Fortuity Lending. Jeff, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, mate. Great to be here.
Jeff, we've just seen the wrap up of the Financial Services Royal Commission, and obviously some really great news as part of that, and that mortgage brokers will continue to be able to provide some valued services to consumers.
Yep.
Mate, in your experience, you're 20 years in financial services. What are some of the advantages that you see of using a broker over a traditional lender?
Sure. I think it comes down to customer service. Obviously, what a mortgage broker prides themselves on, or especially myself, is having that one-on-one connection, with the customer. And what I bring it down to, difference between a mortgage broker and going directly through a bank is the loyalty. Obviously what we pride ourselves mostly on is, having that relationship with the customer, and, trying to save the customer as much money over the life of the loan. I mean, with a bank, are they going to contact you every 6 months or every year to see what rate you're on? Do they call you after hours? Are they happy to take phone calls after hours? That's specifically something that I pride myself on, and I understand, customers and consumers don't work that 9 to 5, so you've got to be a little bit flexible and robust.
Sure, terrific. So I guess certainly sounds like customer focus. You're prepared to go over and above to serve the individual's needs rather than, I guess, taking a black and white approach to it.
Absolutely, and I think you have to be, just to be successful in this day and age, you have to adapt to that.
A lot of people out there, they don't go and see the doctor as often as they should. They don't go and see the dentist as often as they should.
Sure.
And the same applies for taking stock of where they're at in terms of loans, whether they be home loans or other. What are some of the things that people could be missing out on by not performing those sort of home loan health checks on a regular basis?
For sure. Everyone will look at what their, say, current credit card rate is. If you've got a limit of 4,000 to 5,000, well, if you've got a $500,000 mortgage, you should be sort of on top of that. So obviously my job as a broker is to educate them of that process. And one thing that we pride ourselves on is we're always in contact with our customer. So we always make a phone call to them every 6 months, every 6 months after that. Obviously, we understand circumstances change in people's situation, but to educate them that, they should be looking after their biggest asset.
Sure.
So always, looking at the rates of what your home loan is.
And if anyone, I guess, isn't in that situation where they've got their broker calling them on a regular basis,
Yep.
Throw it in the diary, once annual, once every 6 months. You got Valentine's Day, Father's Day,
Yep.
Probably a mortgage health check day, hey?
Absolutely, mate. 100%.
Fantastic.
100%.
And I guess to ask you a question about business owners out there,
Sure.
anyone who might be self-employed. Low doc loans are a bit of a hot topic at the moment.
Yep.
There's a lot of interest in that as a lending solution. For anyone who might be considering that as an appropriate way to get their next loan,
Yep.
What are some of the things that they can do to best prepare for that? And what are the lenders looking for as part of that
Sure.
application?
So obviously a low doc loan is a low documentation loan. So obviously the bank aren't expecting all the documents under the sun. So, for a small business, that can be quite a useful tool. What I always say to self-employed or company customers, and I think the point of difference between a mortgage broker and the bank, obviously we have that customer relationship, and we can work closely with them and their accountant to hit the sort of objective of a low doc. So a low document loan will require two major things. So either they want to see your 6 months BAS bank
Sure.
accounts, or the last two BAS lodge statements
Sure.
to the tax portal, and then an account declaration. So obviously with those two documentations, we can lodge the deal and get it in the system ready to go. So I think the main point from a a small business owner, and they're making contact with a broker, is obviously having the flexibility that the broker being able to liaise with the accountant
Sure.
to hit their objective.
So it sounds like crucial to have some pretty open lines of communication flowing between the three parties there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, crucial.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And to part with a final question before we let you go, mate.
Yeah, right.
For a lot of people that are in the wealth accumulation phase of their life, refinancing or releasing equity is a really good strategy that they can use to, further their wealth creation plan. What are some of the tips that you could provide us with today for anyone that's looking at that as an option in terms of releasing, say, equity in their family home to fund the next investment?
Sure. So I think the beauty of a broker is we have the flexibility and the access to not just one specific lender, but we've got access to 30 or 40. So sometimes when it comes down to, say, releasing equity, it comes down to the valuation of your property at the time. We know that the banks pretty much for the last 5 to 10 years have been very conservative with their valuations of their property, and it's probably not a true reflection of their true market value of their property.
Sure.
So we have that option to run valuations over different lenders, which can achieve their end goal of accessing their equity.
Yeah, great. So I guess not being tied to one particular lender in the event that you don't get the outcome you're looking for. If you, as the saying goes, if at first you try and don't succeed, then try again.
And that's absolutely, and that's the beauty of having a broker. You're not restricted to that one bank, and that's what I always say. If you don't, get that outcome directly with the bank, well, the broker will always give you a second opinion, and they always look after you. They've got your best interests. So that's obviously one bonus that we differentiate from the bank too.
Great advice. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time.
My pleasure, mate. Thank you.